Haktua Haley Welch. If I am who I want to be in my own head, I am successful in life, but I cannot seem to get that through my head. If I am who I want to be in my own head, that's an interesting. I kind of like that, John Langle.
Thank you, Yassine, for the brief introduction. Welcome back to another video on the John Langell YouTube channel. Today is going to be a little bit different of a day. Today we're going to be thinking, we're going to be doing a lot of philosophy type stuff. It's going to be some hard truths that a lot of you are not ready to hear. But nonetheless, it's going to be some good. It's going to be very influential. It's going to be great. I hope that this changes the way you are thinking. So without further ado, let's kind of delve into what he just said. That quote came from me, of course. You saw I shared it with him on stream. But where did it come from originally? Originally, it was thought up on a run of all things. It was something that I wasn't necessarily seeking wisdom on the day. I was more of trying to think of an IG caption for a post. Instead, I went with, if you look on my IG, you'll see it is only once you truly start to doubt yourself that you can prove everyone wrong. I think that's another great thing we're going to kind of talk about today. But I don't want this to all just be philosophical discussion. I want this to be more about your self-awareness, more about running. I'm going to try to bring the running aspect into this because at the end of the day, this is a running YouTube channel. You clicked on this video because you want to get better at running. Maybe. Let's think about that. So the first thing we must do to become self-aware is look within ourselves. A lot of people like to say, I want it more than you. I want this so bad. I would die for this. I would do everything for this. My brother, the truth is you wouldn't. You are here. People are up here. You are putting in the bare minimum. You are not doing everything possible to get better. You may think you are. Maybe you are. You're just doing things that aren't right. At the end of the day, nobody wants it as bad as they think they do. The truth is you don't have to want it as bad as you think you do. You don't have to have that mindset. You just have to continuously do the monotony of running day in and day out. Now, it may be different in other sports, but in running, it's not about this aggressive outlook on the sport. You don't just go into practice and think, I'm going to kill it today. I'm going to do something. I want this. I do. No. You go into practice, you do a chill, easy run. You do a warm-up, and you hit paces, and you do the right things. Circling back to what I said at the beginning, a lot of people think they want it more than they do. And that's okay. You don't have to put forward the best of your ability into the sport. I used to be a guy that would kind of look down on people that weren't putting their first foot forward, trying to be the best that they could be. But at the end of the day, as long as they are honest with themselves and you are honest with yourselves about what you want in this sport, you don't go out there and try to create a facade. That's the worst thing. When people put in the bare minimum or no effort at all, they're skipping runs on the weekends. They're not doing what they should be. They're not hitting mileage. They're not doubling, but they claim that they're locked in. I hate how people throw around the word locked in. The truth is you will never be as locked in as you think you are. You're never going to be as locked in as the guys in Kenya who this is basically a life or death situation. And they're never going to be as optimized as we are in the U.S. because we have a lot of great opportunities. You see, it's a dual, double-edged sword here. You can look at it from both directions. But the key aspect of this is you have to be self-aware in everything that you do. Especially, I would say a great way of showing you this is myself. As a digital creator, whatever you want to call me, not really an influencer. I don't have that many followers, although we are coming up on 1,000. That would be pretty cool if we hit that and I could start rolling in dough. You know what I'm talking about. But I digress. As a quote-unquote YouTuber, I post a lot of videos that a lot of people might think are bad or crazy. I'm aware. Everything I post is bad. I film everything on my phone and I edit in CapCut. I suck at editing. But I do it myself. I'm putting out good content that people somehow seem to enjoy. These other influencers, they more of make a fool of themselves and they're not really aware. They all kind of have this ego-driven nightmare. and it's just so hard to watch. I myself can't even indulge in running content anymore because it's just so bad. These types of videos do the best, where I'm just talking to the camera. I like to make the vlogs, but at the end of the day, every single video is the same that is a running vlog. Nobody makes them differently. They are all the same, and they're all just people forcing their emotions, forcing to saying the same garbage to the camera, like, yeah, just did this, we fit, whatever. Who cares, bro? And it's always like, not to hate, but it's always like these guys at the D1 level with like zero personality. I like to think that I have a personality. We'll get more about that later on. I like to think that I have character, that people think of me as a separate entity. People can distinguish me from the way I make my videos. And that is really what you have to do if you want to succeed. Now, me saying this, I'm probably like the least successful guy. I've been doing this for years and never getting any views. But that's okay because I'm self-aware. Which leads me to my next question. Are my actions permissible if I'm self-aware? I'm not talking like, oh, I murdered all these people, but I knew it was wrong. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about maybe acting a fool. I'm talking about being a bum. Can you be a bum as long as you're self-aware? I think you can do whatever you want. As we said in the quote, finally bringing in that quote that you've seen said before. As long as I am who I want to be in my own head, I am successful. I just can't seem to be self-aware enough to get that through my head. As long as you are not hurting others, even if you are hurting others, who's to say you cannot do what you want? Oftentimes, we look at people that are different from us, whether that be in their outward physical appearance, like this. People might look at me and think, oh, that guy's some weirdo. But at the end of the day, I don't do this for any form, but I think it looks cool as, what? Like, I just think it looks tough to have earrings and paint my nails. I'm not doing this for any other reason. And a lot of people do not have this nuanced way of thinking to put themselves in other people's shoes in an empathetic way and kind of think, oh, maybe I should just let them have as much fun and pleasure as possible as they want in their life. Now, there is the point of diminishing returns where you're just full-blown degeneracy, and that's not where we want. We don't want to go full hedonistic on these people. I'm talking you live through the fruitions and you bring out the best that you want in your life. What I'm doing right now, for example, my mom looks at my life and she says, oh, do you have any friends outside of running? And I'm like, no, I don't really even have that many friends in running. The truth is, there's a lot of sacrifices that I am aware that I'm making, but that's not what I want. I don't want to go out and party. I don't want to go out and drink. I don't want to smoke. I think it took me a long time to realize that just because people do that does not make them a bad person. It is just people doing what they want with their lives. And as long as they are not interacting with you, as long as they are not ruining or hurting other people, you cannot be the person that judges them. Now, where am I going with all this? This is all good in theory. This is how we become self-aware. We become self-aware of our own problems while also being so self-aware that we are able to realize and understand the actions of other people. Now, all that to say that in order to also be self-aware, we must be so self-aware that we are self-aware that our own actions are not permissible. That may be a little bit of a mind conspiracy type thing, a little hard to wrap your head around, but basically what I'm saying is that you have to be aware that you yourselves do not know everything. You have to be so self-aware that you can express yourself how you want, but also that other people look at you and know better. It's a hard street to go down, but once you do, life is just such a different outlook. Now, I know that all this may be very, very confusing, but I hope you followed along through this all. But basically what I'm trying to say is, truth is you don't want it as bad as you think you do. Truth is other people want it more than you. And that's okay. You just have to be honest. You have to be honest with yourself. You have to make these decisions, make these goals, and you have to make them attainable and be honest. A lot of people are so naive. You see it in the season opener. People say, I'm a break 4 in my season opener when my PR is 4:12. You know who you are. You know who you are. People say, oh, I'm a take 30 seconds off my 3K. I'm going to take 15 seconds off my mile in the season opener. I myself was once a victim of this, especially in high school. You think that you are fitter than you are, and you ultimately never reach these goals that you had set out for yourself. You just have to be more aware of your body, more aware of what really it takes to be good at this sport, because a lot of people do not want to actually dive into the weeds and really accept the fact that a lot of what it takes to be good at distance running is not healthy. It is not a healthy mindset to be running hundreds of miles every single week. It is not healthy. It's barely healthy to even be running 70 miles a week. There gets to a point of diminishing returns where the health, it starts to go down. I mean, you look at my body, you look at other people's body. We're just a bunch of skinny little weaklings. Like, I've lost a lot of strength because I've wanted to get leaner for distance running. Another part of the aspect of the sport I don't really want to dive too much into because it causes a lot of problems is weight. A lot of people they don't want to accept the fact that a lot of times you gotta be lighter. And that's just the way that it is. And we kind of put that away. We say, oh, you can just you fuel yourself. But a lot of people don't understand that your body doesn't need all of this fuel that it thinks it does. But I don't want to talk about that right now because that's just such a bad topic. But you got to be at least self-aware to understand that what you're doing is not good for your body. That's another aspect of being self-aware people don't talk about. But I think this video is getting a little bit long, so I'm going to kind of wrap it up. I hope I was able to express my thoughts the way that I wanted to, but ultimately I never am able to because, it's a 10-minute YouTube video. But the next time I sit down here, I will be calling out those ops I talked about earlier. I just have to run a fast time before I can call them out because they're so unself-aware that they put so much of their own identity in running. While yes, you are a runner in identity, your times do not necessarily reflect the whole story, which is kind of another mind conspiracy. But yes, I will be calling out my ops later on this month. You know who you are. Don't forget to like, subscribe. I hope you enjoyed. We are getting very, very close to 1,000 subscribers. Only 200 more. Peace.
I'm cold, but I'm hot.